Menglong's death. The truth they don't want you to know. The night that wouldn't end. The night of Menglong's death still hangs in the air like a ghost no one dares speak of too loudly. The city was restless, a blur of lights and hurried footsteps, but in his quiet apartment, time seemed to slow. Curtains drawn, phone buzzing, a faint melody on the piano. His neighbors remember it well. He was playing something soft, something broken. One said later, her voice trembling. It didn't sound like a song you could buy on an album. It sounded like goodbye. At exactly 11:47 p.m., his phone lit up one last time. A single name flashed across the screen, but when investigators retrieved the records, that name was gone, deleted, as though swallowed by the night itself. Officials insisted it was a glitch. Fans called it a cover-up. By midnight, Menglong stepped onto his balcony. The cold air caught his breath as he gazed at the horizon, unmoving, as though he saw something no one else could. Minutes later, the silence became unbearable. When the news broke hours after dawn, the city gasped in disbelief. Menglong was gone. But gone how? And why? That's where the truth begins to twist. The silence before the storm. For weeks leading up to that night, the signs were there, but blurred, ignored, hidden behind the dazzling light of his fame. In interviews, Menglong's words carried a weight fans didn't notice until it was too late. Every story has an ending, he once said softly, but not every ending is happy. Sometimes it's just necessary. It was dismissed as poetic flair, the kind of line actors deliver when promoting their work. But later, it sounded like a warning. His social media posts became cryptic. A single candle, a broken mirror, a line of lyrics that read, "The stage is brighter when you're not on it." Fans argued about their meaning, but none realized these were breadcrumbs leading to a conclusion no one wanted to believe. And then there were the calls. Friends claimed he had become unreachable, turning off his phone for days at a time. His closest circle described him as haunted. One even confessed that he told them, "If anything happens to me, don't believe the first story they tell you." The final 24 hours. Reconstructing Menglong's last day feels like piecing together a shattered mirror, fragments scattered, reflections twisted. Morning. He was spotted at a quiet cafe, notebook in hand, sketching something in the margins of a script. Witnesses said he ordered only black coffee, staring at the page as though words were failing him. Afternoon. He returned to his apartment, where delivery records confirm he received a single envelope, contents unknown. The courier remembers his serious expression, as though the envelope weighed more than paper ever should. Evening. A call came in at 9:32 p.m. He answered, but what was said has never been released. 10 minutes later, neighbors heard the faint piano melody, trembling, unfinished. Night. His balcony, his breath in the cold air, and then nothing but silence until dawn. When authorities entered, his apartment was immaculate. No signs of struggle. No forced entry. Only the piano keys still pressed down, as though the final notes refused to fade. The secrets behind the curtain. What the public was told. Menglong's death was a tragedy, an accident born of exhaustion and stress. What whispers insist. There was more. Behind the curtain of fame lies the machinery of the entertainment world, relentless, merciless. Menglong, once adored for his soft smile and romantic leads, carried a burden most never saw. Contracts that demanded silence. Rivalries no one dared to speak of. Stories left unfinished because the truth was too dangerous. One rumor claims he had been preparing to break free from his management to reveal something hidden. Another insists he was working on a script, a story too close to reality, exposing names that preferred shadows. The envelope delivered that afternoon, some believe, contained the evidence he was gathering. And yet, the envelope was gone when police arrived. The case that doesn't add up. The official report closes neatly, but the cracks are glaring. The phone records, the mysterious last call vanished. Deleted. Officials said it was an error in transmission, but experts confirmed such erasures require intention. The envelope, logged as delivered, confirmed by the courier, yet missing when investigators searched. The witnesses, some neighbors claimed to see him outside. Others swore he never left his apartment. How could both be true? Every thread leads to more questions. Every answer feels rehearsed. The people in the shadows. Who benefits from silence? That is the question that keeps echoing. Some point fingers at business ties, contracts, money, influence. Others whisper of jealous rivals, stories of enmity buried beneath smiles. And then there is the unnamed caller, the one whose identity was erased from records. A friend? A stranger? Or someone far closer to his final hours than anyone wants to admit. Those closest to him have remained silent. Too silent. In an industry where statements are made instantly, the absence of voices feels louder than any denial. The hidden messages. Perhaps the strangest part of Menglong's story is how much he seemed to foreshadow his own ending. His last interview was uncanny. Asked about unfinished roles, he smiled faintly. Sometimes, the most powerful story is the one that doesn't end the way people expect. His last song, never officially released, contained lyrics fans later uncovered. When the curtains fall, don't search for me in the spotlight. I'll be the shadow behind it, watching, waiting, gone but not forgotten. And the piano piece he played that final night? Musicians who heard recordings said it resembled a requiem, a farewell wrapped in music only he could write. Fan reactions and mystical interpretations. When the news broke, fans around the world refused to accept the narrative. Online forums filled with theories, timelines, even decoded patterns in his past dramas. One fan pointed out, in his last drama, his character disappears in the same way, alone, at night, with no explanation. It's like he was reenacting his role. Others linked his cryptic posts to folklore, red threads of fate, unfinished love stories. Some went further, suggesting his death was not just tragedy, but destiny, a cycle repeated, a script written long before he was born. The bigger picture. Menglong's death is not an isolated case. Too many stars before him have left under shadows, their stories rewritten before truth could breathe. His case, with its vanishing evidence and silenced voices, feels like part of a larger pattern, a reminder of the invisible weight fame demands and the secrets buried beneath its glitter. And yet, unlike others, Menglong left clues. He left whispers, symbols, unfinished works that refuse to stay hidden. His story feels less like an ending and more like a locked door fans are still searching for the key to open. The final curtain call. The truth they don't want you to know is this. Menglong's death was not simple, not clean, not just a tragedy written in silence. It was layered, scripted, orchestrated in ways that still bleed mystery. Was it fate? Was it choice? Was it conspiracy? Perhaps the truth lies not in official reports, but in the fragments he left behind. The candle, the mirror, the song that refused to end. Menglong's death, the night that wouldn't end. The city was wide awake, yet his apartment remained a sealed capsule of silence. For the world outside, it was just another ordinary evening. Cars rushing by, neon signs buzzing, laughter echoing from late-night diners. But inside Menglong's world, the night stretched longer than time itself, a night that refused to end. The apartment of shadows. Those who later entered his home spoke of the strangeness that clung to the air. Everything was meticulously arranged, shoes aligned by the door, a half-read script on the table, a cup of untouched tea cooling beside it. The only thing out of place was the piano. Its keys were still pressed down, as though someone's fingers had frozen mid-song and then vanished. Neighbors recalled hearing him play, a melody so delicate it was almost a whisper. A requiem, they called it. But one neighbor, the closest, swore that halfway through the song, it changed. It wasn't music anymore, she whispered. It was like signals. Notes pressed hard like a code, like he was trying to send a message through the walls. And maybe he was. The last balcony gaze. Around midnight, Menglong stepped outside, barefoot on the cold balcony. A witness across the street claimed to see him standing still, his face lit by the flicker of a neon sign. He wasn't smoking, wasn't drinking, he was just watching. He looked up, not down, the witness said. Like he was searching the sky for something. Like he was waiting for someone to answer. Another swore they saw him whisper words into the night air, lips moving silently against the chill. Were they prayers? Please? Or confessions no one was meant to hear? The chilling part? The same witness insisted he vanished for a moment. 1 second he was there, the next he wasn't, before reappearing as if the night itself had swallowed him whole and spat him back. The phone that wouldn't stop ringing. His phone lit up again and again, the glow piercing through the shadows of his living room. Records show there were more than 10 missed calls within a span of 20 minutes. But here's the twist. None of those calls appeared in official logs. It was as though the calls never existed. Neighbors claimed they heard the ringtone through the walls, a haunting loop of one of his own songs. The chorus repeated endlessly. When the lights go out, don't look for me. I'll be where the silence learns to sing. Chilling. Prophetic. And now impossible to forget. The vanishing visitor. Some reports mentioned a knock at his door. The sound came once, faint, then again, louder, more insistent. Yet when investigators checked the security footage, no one was there. No visitor, no movement in the hallway. Still, a neighbor on the floor below insisted they heard footsteps, slow and heavy, climbing the stairs long past midnight. But again, nothing showed up on the footage. So, what did Menglong hear that night? Who, or what, stood at his door? The song that refused to end. At 12:32 a.m., the piano began again. Louder this time, bolder, echoing through the walls until multiple neighbors woke. Some said it was the same unfinished melody from earlier. Others swore it was different, chaotic, as if he were pressing the keys without rhythm, like a man desperate to speak without words. One detail stands out. The last note. It rang on longer than it should have, vibrating into silence that felt eternal. The piano was found with that key still pressed down. Investigators said it must have been a mechanical glitch. Musicians disagreed. It's impossible, they said. Someone pressed it, and whoever it was didn't let go. The shadow in the window. Several passers-by later told reporters they saw something strange that night. From the street, they looked up and saw two silhouettes in the apartment window, not one. One figure was clearly Menglong, but the second? Taller, blurred, always just behind him. At first, people dismissed it as a trick of light. But when the accounts were compared, too many described the same detail, a figure in black, unmoving, standing in the corner while Menglong paced. Yet when authorities entered the apartment hours later, there were no signs of anyone else being there. No fingerprints. No footprints. Nothing but Menglong's still body and a silence too heavy for words. The mystery of the clock. The most disturbing clue wasn't the piano, the phone, or the balcony. It was the clock. The clock on Menglong's wall had stopped at exactly 12:47 a.m. No power outage, no broken battery, it just froze. Investigators replaced the batteries, checked the wiring, tested everything. The clock worked perfectly fine afterwards. But at the time of his death, it had chosen one moment to stop ticking. Fans have since obsessed over the number. 12:47. Some claim it's a code, 12 representing December, 47 pointing to a line in one of his dramas where his character says, "At the 47th minute, everything changes." Coincidence? Or something more? The final sightings. Here's where it becomes almost supernatural. A taxi driver later confessed he saw Menglong near the river at 1 a.m., walking alone, coatless, looking like he was in a trance. Another swore he saw him in the lobby of a hotel across the city around the same time. Impossible? Yes. But multiple witnesses stood by their words. Which begs the question, was Menglong truly in his apartment all night, or was there more than one story being played out in different corners of the city? The dawn that broke too quietly. When morning came, the world looked the same. The city carried on, unaware that a star had already fallen in the night. His apartment was still, the tea untouched, the piano silent. The truth is this: Menglong's night did not end at midnight. It stretched on, defying time, bending reality, twisting into fragments of stories that still don't align. A balcony gaze, a phantom call, a visitor who never existed, a shadow in the window, a clock that stopped ticking. Each detail stands alone as eerie, but together they form a night too impossible to explain, too haunting to forget. For the world, it was the night Menglong's story ended. But for those who dig deeper, it was the night his mystery began. Because nights end. But this one never did.